Welcome to the newest season of the Sisters of the Shire podcast, where we discuss all things Tolkien and do our best to educate others about some of his more difficult to understand works.
I'm Ashley, and along with my amazing co-host.
I was going to say
amazing co-host Abby, we learned all about the Silmarillion last season, and this season we are going to dive into the unfinished tales.
Ooh. So whether you are a Tolkien expert or just starting to dive into some of his lesser known works, like the Unfinished Tales, from this podcast, we hope to have some engaging discussions, maybe even help you understand something that you didn't know before, or simply just have some fun alongside us, your fellow Tolkien nerds.
So let's dive into the Unfinished Tales. Da-da-da. Let's go!
Let's go! First of all, happy holidays. I hope you had good ones, everyone. Sorry we were gone. We were absent. We were enjoying all the stuff,
being sick, the holidays, grandma being sick, our grandma together, in and out of the hospital. So nice thoughts and wishes to our grandma Jojo.
Yes.
I got a change in my work situation, which changed my entire days. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Mm-hmm. We had ballet, a lot of ballet for my daughter,
you did,
which was hours upon hours of rehearsals and performances. And I was gone for a whole weekend, pretty much.
Yeah.
It was a 3-day weekend of just that. And then we had Christmas, which was amazing. I hope everyone's Christmas out there was great. And then I jumped on a plane pretty much a day after Christmas and flew to South America with my dad to go see family down there because I'm half Colombian. So me and my dad got to go do that. That was really fun. And I came back the end of the first week of January. So I was gone for a while. And then the Pacific Northwest, mostly where I am, not so much where Ashley is now. Well, it changed a little bit now, but then the Pacific Northwest, the good old PNW decided to freeze, literally. And we have been stuck in our house. We've been stuck in our house for 5 days. So I'm gonna lose it. No.
We've got cabin fever.
I've been singing that all day. You don't even know. No. So where we're from is very humid in a way that's it's just wet, a lot all the time. And so we don't get snow as fun, fluffy snowman snow very often as we get just
slush.
Slushy. For us, for right now, we have 3 inches of ice. Just thick,
okay. Yeah. It goes slush, ice. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have it's an ice skating rink. Our roads are crystal white looking. It is just, and when you step on it, it's like an ice rink that you pay money to go have fun on. But this one is terrifying and we can't leave our house. So I'm right. And I have 3 young kids and our Wi-Fi wasn't working the other day and I'm I'm gonna lose it.
Imagine what they did in the dark ages, Abby. What did they do to entertain their children?
90s? The 80s and the 90s.
Go outside. Oh, no. Go outside. It's freezing cold, Mom. Get out there.
Get out there. No, actually, my kids really did play outside a ton, which I was go do you, kids. It was so solid of ice. You don't have to tromp through it. You can walk on top of it like an elf. It's pretty great. that my kids were like, we can't play with, like, we can't build like a snowman or anything. And I was like, I don't know, do whatever you want to do. So they tied sleds to the backs of their bikes and put their toddler baby brother on the sled and like were pulling him on their bikes because they could ride their bikes on it because it was hard, like a hard surface. And he loved every minute. And I was like, good bonding experience. But I'm also like, hey, if you guys could be safe out there, because if you break your arm, we can literally not drive you to the hospital. So if you could just be like a little bit safe.
Get some leaves.
Yeah. I'll splint it with a branch or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we're on day 5 of snow ice apocalypse in our neck of the woods. And so
just to be clear,
so my kids are home.
Northwest. Oh, so your kids are home. Sorry. So just to be clear, in the Pacific Northwest, like we're not used to it being this cold. Like our winters are like 30s maybe, or like 30s maybe, like 40s usually. So other people are like, well, you know, we have that all the time. We're not used to it.
and you guys have snow where you can like shovel it away. Where you can like shovel it away. We can't shovel the ice away. It's stuck here.
Use a blowtorch.
I have all my kids home with me today. They're out of school for the 3rd day in a row. And guess what movie so I put on a movie right now for them. But you get 2 guesses of which movie they're watching.
Okay. Raiders.
Oh, that was a close guess, but no.
So Last Crusade?
No. I was going to say in that realm of time of when that movie came out.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to go with Fox's favorite then, Back to the Future.
No.
Okay.
It's that time of the 80s era, but it's Willow. They're watching Willow right now.
Oh, wow.
It was going to be Lady Hawk, but then I wanted to watch Lady Hawk, and I can't watch it and do this at the same time. So I was like, you guys watch Willow. I'll watch Lady Hawk with you later.
So I've said this before. I grew up with 4 older brothers, and there has been a lot of movies that I watched probably before I should have. Let's just be honest with that. So Willow was one of those that was introduced when I was probably a little too young. And I've actually never seen it all the way through because I remember something with a baby and then crying in my room for a good 10 minutes. So
no, it's so great. And plus Val Kilmer is killing it in this movie. Pretty great.
Abby has a type, in case you haven't realized that.
My favorite is he's pretending like he's hiding. He was with a lady and he wasn't supposed to be with this lady. And so he tries to hide from her husband by dressing up as a woman. And he's like, who is the husband comes in and she's like, oh, it's I think she says it's my cousin or something. And he's like, oh, it's my cousin. And he's this Viking, huge bearded grizzly man comes up to Val Kilmer dressed as a woman. And he goes, oh, And he goes up, he's like, you want to breed? And Val Kilmer's like, tempting, but no.
Okay, we're gonna have to watch Willow together then, because I don't. It's not one of those things that I can watch
with
Nate.
What are you talking about? It's so good.
Okay, I'll watch it.
Anyway, speaking of nerdy things.
So just to start off, in case you just started here, with a mini introduction as to who we are, what our Tolkien knowledge levels are, just in case, you're starting with this season, which is fine, but so I am Ashley. We're glad to hear. So I'm Ashley, and my co-host is Abby, who is my awesome, amazing cousin. While our podcast is called Sisters of the Shire, we grew up pretty close and have remained close throughout our lives. Close enough that, I don't know, we might as well be sisters, in my opinion. Plus, Cousins of the Shire podcast just doesn't sound as good.
It doesn't roll off the tongue,
Yeah.
No, we're the same age. We I don't know. We're just always been super close. I think because our moms are sisters, I think they're okay, our kids are just going to grow up together. Like, they're going to be best
copy paste.
Yeah.
Historically, we both found the Lord of the Rings together when the movies came out when we were about 11, and we just kind of gobbled up the world of Tolkien from there. And then kind of independently, we read the Lord of the Rings trilogies and the Hobbits, and the Hobbits and the Hobbit, sorry. And then we binged the Hobbit movie trilogy as well when it came out. Then we kind of grew up, became wives and moms.
We kind of grew up.
Kind of, yeah. Let's make that very
physically,
clear.
yes. Mentally,
never. We always had this kind of nerdy kinship with each other. And we always, just kind of, would send each other memes and stuff and talk about the movies. But, I was trying to put my daughter to sleep one day, and she always wanted me to stay in the room, but I didn't want to engage with her and distract her and keep her up. I wanted her to have the comfort that I was there, but I didn't want her to have to depend on my entertainment, presence. If that makes any sense. So I just decided to read her a book. It wasn't going to be a book that she wanted to read. No. I was going to read a book I wanted to read. So I chose the Silmarillion because I always wanted to read it. I heard it was super complicated, and I'm like, well, no time like the now. So I read it to my daughter as to make her fall asleep, basically, because it could have that effect on people. And I finished it, and immediately I wanted to share it with my nerd sister, Abby. But I didn't know how to go about it since she doesn't really have the time to sit down and read it with her having 3 kids and all. And you also have the funny habit of falling asleep whenever you're reading something.
I have a theory about that. Okay.
Oh, you do? What did you do?
My theory is why I fall asleep every time I try to read a book. It's gotten better. Now that my kids are a little older and they sleep better through the night. But when you read, your eye goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth when you're reading. What do you do when you're in REM sleep? No, what do you do when you're REM sleep? Your eyes go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so my brain is like, are we sleeping? Wait, are we sleeping right now? And I'm like, yes.
Everyone get hands on deck. We're sleeping now.
Shut it down.
So basically, the Sisters of the Shire podcast is born as a means of sharing the Silmarillion with Abby in a way that was easy for her to understand and helping her keep track of all the characters and places along the way. And, we just had so much fun doing it that when we finished the Silmarillion, we asked ourselves, what other Tolkien books can we do this with? And, so we took so many. We took a poll. I kind of, was reading through a few of them, and you know what? We decided on the Unfinished Tales.
I'm so excited.
So,
I'm so
Abby,
excited.
Do you know anything about the Unfinished Tales? Yeah.
I was going to say, the thing about the Silmarillion is that I kind of understood what the Silmarillion, before even reading any text of the Silmarillion, I just had the general knowledge of this is the story before everything of how everything came to be in Middle Earth and where the characters come from and things like that and all the history. I knew that at least. I couldn't tell you any character names or individual stories or whatever, but I just knew the general idea of that's what the Silmarillion was. I have no idea what the Unfinished Tales are about at all. So I'm excited. It's new uncharted territory for me.
Yes. So I hadn't read it either until a week ago. I've listened to it. I've read it. I feel like I have a good grasp on what's happening here because the Silmarillion and the Unfinished Tales are very different in their styles, but they have a lot of similarities for their stories.
Okay.
So let's start with the beginning. So in case you don't know what the Unfinished Tales are, they are a collection of stories and essays by the great J.R.R. Tolkien that he never completed during his lifetime. So after he died, they were edited by his son, Christopher, and published in 1980. All hail Christopher.
He did so much. He worked so hard.
So one of the things about the Unfinished Tales is that he does an intro, and the intro is pretty well. We're actually just covering the intro today, but I just got such a perspective from him about his work and picking up, what his father left behind. My heart bled for him reading just the intro. I'm like, Christopher.
In my brain, this is my mental image. Okay. So in my brain, he opened, like, his father's passed away, and he's like, Christopher, you have to
finish my work.
You have to put this together for me and do all this stuff. And he's like, okay, father. And he was never allowed into his father. Like, that's probably not true, but let's just say he was like allowed to go into his father's like office or study or whatever. And so he's like, here's the key to my office. And he's like, okay. And he opens the door, and it's like hoarder, like
piles of paper,
like loose leaf papers
that are like
everywhere.
Years old.
A window's open, and it's just like fluttering like papers everywhere. And there's like when people write notes when they wake up from a dream, and they're like, that's a great idea, and they like write it down, and then they look at it later, and they're like, make dogs and cats best friends. And it's like, wait, what is it? But it's like notes like that all over. And he's like, oh no. And I get to see him just like dropping to his knees, like, Father, why?
I don't think you're too far off. But yeah. So many of the tales that we already learned about in the Silmarillion are in the Unfinished Tales. But one thing you need to know is that Tolkien was working on some of those main stories for decades. So he came up with a few variations of those stories over the years. He would change his mind about certain details over time. And unfortunately, because it sounds like Tolkien may have been a bit of a perfectionist, he never officially completed them. That's why the Silmarillion was also not published during his lifetime. But there were enough of his notes that his son Christopher was able to make a cohesive narrative that we now know as the Silmarillion. The Unfinished Tales, on the other hand, are the other notes that were harder to fit into the overall narrative of the Silmarillion, or were notes that slightly differed and were more the other variations of the tales that maybe Christopher didn't like as much, like, I don't like that version as much, or that didn't work in the overall story, if that makes any sense.
So we're talking variant timelines here.
Correct.
Alternate realities.
Yes.
Oh.
So another cool thing about the Unfinished Tales is that most of Tolkien's works come from the perspective of Tolkien himself. But the intro, like I said, to the Unfinished Tales is definitely worth the read. You really gain a lot of Christopher's perspective of trying to figure out what to do with his father's writings. In fact, he says, quote, "The problems that confront one, given responsibility for the writings of a dead author, are hard to resolve. Some persons in this position may elect to make no material whatsoever available for publication, save perhaps for work that was in a virtually finished state at the time of the author's death."
Oh.
So he's like, some people would be like, I'm not sure what to do with this. I might not just do it, or this one looks pretty much done. It just needs a stamp of approval. Let's just publish that and forget the rest. Like, what would you, part of me would, if I was Christopher, would have wanted to just torch the place. And we'll just call that good. No one needs to know. No harm, no foul. What the world doesn't know won't hurt it. So, what would you do if you were the son or daughter of a famous author? Would you torch the place, call it good? Would you comb through it, preserve the tangled inner workings of your father's thoughts to further his legacy and provide some treats, for his loyal fans? It's really hard to say. I'm kind of on the fence because, as we know, I have a touch of the OCD, so I could see that being like a smidge. I could see that being like a cool project, like, ooh, I get to organize all this, but then also how tangled it all is, I would have probably lost my mind.
What? There's like a cartoon where a person's trying to like organize something and someone was like, you need help? And they're like, ha 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 ha, and it's just like them like just wildly laughing. I laughed behind it.
1,000% me. Yes.
So is there any, because I know that there's some like visual like interviews, like actual video interviews with Tolkien. Are there interviews with Christopher where we can get a sense of like his, what's the word, passion for it? If he's like, I have to do this because I love my dad, but this isn't really what I wanted to do, but I need to do it for him. Or was he like, I love this stuff just as much as my dad, and I'm so excited to do it, and I'm very passionate? Is there any evidence of that anywhere in the world?
Question specifically, but what I found interesting is that Christopher is not the firstborn.
I know, which is funny. What are those other guys doing, you know?
I know, but I don't remember at this exact time. Like, I think one went into the clergy. He's like a priest. One is I have it all somewhere, but because I went into a deep dive, guys, deep dive. But yeah, Christopher.
One of them was like an accountant, and they're like, oh gosh, no. Like how people are like, some people back then had the view if like you're an artist or something, like, you've ruined your life. What have you done? You're never going to make it.
Okay, I had this imagining like you had of, you know, like getting the key and opening the door and seeing this mess. And then I just had this vision of like a very Frodo-like moment. Like, I wish these papers had never come to me. I wish none of this had ever happened. And then like from beyond the grave, Christopher just hears his father's voice, but also in like Gandalf's voice, like, so do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. Now finish my confusing work, son. Like,
now
continue the story.
Yeah. Don't make it in a really ugly font.
Don't you dare make love stories that don't exist, Mom.
Yeah.
Too late. Just kidding. So another thing that Christopher did say was that, quote, that the Silmarillion should remain unknown was for me out of the question, despite its disordered state, and despite my father's known, if very largely unfulfilled, intentions for its transformation. So, like, he did know about the Silmarillion, so I'm not sure if he just knew because his father was like, listen to this story, son, or if Christopher
I just imagine him like telling them stories when they're going to bed.
Yeah.
Or maybe he told it to like his grandkids, like Christopher's sons and daughters.
Oh. Quote, those who would not have foregone the images of Melkor with Ungoliant looking down from the summit of Shire Mentir upon the fields and pastures of Yavanna, gold beneath the tall wheat of the gods, of the shadows of Thingolfin's host cast by the first moonrise in the west, of Beren lurking in wolf shape beneath the throne of Morgoth, or of the light of the Silmaril suddenly revealed in the darkness of the forest of Neldoreth. They will find, I believe, that imperfections of form in these tales are much outweighed by the voice, heard now for the last time, of Gandalf teasing the lordly Sauron at the meeting of the White Council, or describing in Minas Tirith after the War of the Ring how it was that he came to send the dwarves to the celebrated party at Bag End, by the arising of Ulmo, Lord of Waters, out of the sea at Vinyamar, by Moblung of Doriath hiding like of old beneath the ruins of the bridge at Nargothrond, or by the death of Isildur as he floundered up out of the mud of the Anduin. So, like, in other words, wouldn't you rather have had all this cool stuff? Like, no matter what, like,
yeah.
I want Christopher to know how much I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. You've made our brains and our hearts happy.
Yes. But in regards to the other notes, quote, I presumed, after long hesitation, to present the work not in the form of an historical study, a complex of divergent texts interlinked by commentary, but as a completed and cohesive entity. So he made the Silmarillion as its own story, while this book, The Unfinished Tales, quote, taken together, they, the narratives, constitute no whole, and the book is no more than a collection of writings, disparate in form, intent, finish, and date of composition, and in my own treatment with them, concerned with Numenor and Middle-earth. So in other words, this book isn't a story in that it has a clear beginning, middle, and end. In my opinion, it's more like a series of possible like alternate endings or deleted scenes told with the assumption that you know the original version already.
Which we do now.
So if you are looking to read The Unfinished Tales, Christopher does provide this warning. Quote, it must be said at once that much in the book will be found unrewarding by readers of The Lord of the Rings who, holding that the historical structure of Middle-earth is a means and not an end, the mode of the narrative and not its purpose, feel small desire of further exploration for its own sake. So basically, like, if you read The Lord of the Rings and was like, that's a nice story, I'm just gonna, not ask any questions and just take what information was given to me and call it good. That is not my attitude of reading anything. I have all of the questions. Like, personally, I don't even know how you can read or even watch a story without wanting to know all of the backstories. For example, like, I've been reading Harry Potter with Lizzie and just like being thrust into the world of Hogwarts. I'm like, who's Hogwarts? Like, why name it Hogwarts? Who were the founders? What were their stories like? I just like have a million questions. So if you aren't that type of person, then The Unfinished Tales isn't for you. I'm just going to say that right now. Because there are people out there, and you know what? Good for you. But that is not
enjoy
what
you're blissfully unawares, happy brain that's like, yay, that was great. On to the next thing now. Bye.
Yeah. Yes. Quote, while those who enjoy the book, The Lord of the Rings, as an heroic romance only and find unexplained vistas part of the literary effect, will neglect the appendices very properly. It is, I suppose, a tribute to the curious effect that a story has when based on very elaborate and detailed workings of geography, chronology, and language that so many should clamor for sheer information or lore. So that is me. I'm the one clamoring. I am clamoring. I want more.
It's that meme of Stephen Colbert where he's like, has his hand out. And his, like, in front of him, he's like, give it to me.
Yes.
Give me more.
And I don't think I'm the only one. But there is something I found interesting that Tolkien wrote in a letter that basically he just can't seem to satisfy everyone. Like, there are some people who want more maps. Some people want more details on the Elvish languages. Some want more songs. Some want more plants and flowers. Like, you just can't satisfy everyone with a simple appendice or another book, or, someone's always going to be like, but what about this thing? Quote, general inquirers. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, we each get to say one thing we would want more of.
Okay,
what's yours? Your turn.
Well, I was gonna say this next line here is probably more of our camp here. I don't really want more maps. I'm good. I get it. More details on the Elvish languages, also pretty good. More songs. I'm sorry. When you're listening to the audiobooks, the songs are kind of annoying. I don't know why. I'm sure they're beautiful, but if they could voice in an actual good singer doing it and then go back to the audiobook guy, that'd be great, but that never happens. So sorry. I'm not really a plants and flowers person, so no on that. But this is what I do want more of. He says, quote, general inquirers, which is, I'm assuming this is you and me, Abby, want information about the Wainwriters, the Harad, dwarvish origins, the dead men, the Beornings, which is what I thought you'd want, and the missing 2 wizards out of 5.
And the
You want
Ents.
to know about Beorn.
And the Ents.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the magic of like the Palantirs and what was the other one? Like more of just like the stories of civilizations, like the dwarfs, like it said, like how, what did they do? How did they get to where they are? Yeah, I want that. Give me that.
I want like the everyday life of like the Valar. Like, what does Yavanna do in her spare time? Like, I mean, you can't just grow things all the time. Like, does she have a random hobby that's like contradictory to that? Like, maybe she really likes axe throwing. I don't know. Okay, she probably doesn't like axe throwing, but I'm just saying. I just want more on that, I guess. But
Character
anyways,
development.
yes,
More character backgrounds.
Yes. The formulation of this book, I'm sure, was super difficult with all of these tales, you know, being unfinished, literally. So consistency is very tricky. Some of the tales do come to like an abrupt halt, or they start in the middle. It's not a clear-cut beginning, middle, and end.
Cool.
But like the Silmarillion is. Quote, the inclusion of the unpublished narratives and sketches therefore entails at once the acceptance of the history not as a fixed, independently existing reality, which the author reports, but as a growing and shifting conception in his mind. So literally, like I said, like he kept changing his mind on what he wanted certain characters to do or be named, or to have details in some versions, but not in others. So it's a growing and shifting conception in his mind, literally. I feel like that was a good way of saying it. Quote, when the author has ceased to publish his works himself, after subjecting them to his own detailed criticism and comparison, the further knowledge of Middle-earth to be found in his unpublished writings will often conflict with what is already, quote-unquote, known. And new elements set into the existing edifice will in such cases tend to contribute less to the history of the invented world itself than to the history of its invention. So because, go ahead.
So it's stuff like this. It's hard when like people there's like such big fans, you know what I mean? Like it has a very long history of people loving this for so many years, but it's hard when it's like the same with the Star Wars universe, where people are like, well, he said it was like this, and then other people are like, yeah, but he also said it was like this, and then they like conflict each other, and then people get mad at each other. I don't feel like this is the way that Tolkien's fans act, which I'm grateful for. It's a little bit more problematic in the like Star Wars, Marvel situation universes, but I think it's like ahead of the game to have in the like introduction like, hey, we know that this is probably going to be like, hey, these things actually contradict each other. It's like, yeah, I know that. Okay. Yeah. Like, I understand.
And don't you dare blame Christopher for that.
Yeah. This isn't me. This isn't me.
Do you want it or not?
Yeah. So I think it's cool that he's like way ahead of the game. He's like, whoa, guys. Before you started like coming at each other and saying like, no, you're wrong. You're not a true fan, blah, blah, blah. Just know both are right. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you want to say that the one that's like officially published as a full storybook, the Silmarillion, to be like, this is the story, and then this is my other thoughts I had for the story. You could take it or leave it of what you want is like true.
Exactly.
But like, just have fun, guys. That's basically what he's saying. He's like, guys, just enjoy it. Just enjoy what he has given to you, because I could have given you nothing. I could have burned this all, and you could have had nothing. So you are going to be grateful for what you have. Okay.
So That is it entirely. So the goal of the Unfinished Tales isn't to contribute to the history of Middle Earth, but it's more of a history of the invention of Middle Earth. This is his spitballing. This is his like rough drafts that we're just kind of putting up there and saying, wouldn't this be cool? Okay, maybe not, you know.
What was it? Throwing spaghetti against the wall.
Oh yeah.
Like
yes. You know, and I liked my idea of the deleted scenes. Like, you wouldn't watch the deleted scenes before watching the movie because then it wouldn't make sense. But if you watch the movie and then watch a deleted scene, you'd be like, oh, that could have been cool in there. But some deleted scenes are going to contradict with what happens in the movie, and that's why it's not in there.
So I am the kind of person who I very rarely, if like deleted scenes or things like are added to a fandom that I love a lot, like I just enjoy it for the consumption of this is something that's my favorite. I like it. I'm not like like, oh, why did they add that? That doesn't make any sense. Like that ruined it, whatever. No.
Mm-hmm.
That's not me. I'm like, yay, more stuff. Hooray.
Hooray.
There was I'll have to find it, but there was like a article I read the other day that because The Lord of the Rings is like what 20 years old now, or no, like
the movies.
Yeah. And they were talking about how they recorded, like they filmed all these like extra scenes of when the characters come back after like all the events, like the very, very end.
Oh, yeah.
And they recorded like all these scenes, but then Peter Jackson's like, you know what? I like how this ended. Like it's... Mm-hmm. It closes it up like a little neat little bow. Like I don't want to add any other scenes. And I've only seen the stills. I don't think they like had actually like released. Maybe they somewhere deep in the internet that I could find it. But they're like stills of like Legolas going back to like where he's from, and like what's his name? Gimli. I think he goes to the Shire or something, or he like goes back. Oh, it's like stuff that I'm like, I want to see that, please.
Yes.
Like, I'm not the person who's like, oh, good, I don't want to see that. Like, shouldn't have seen the light of day because it doesn't do anything to the story and blah, blah. I'm like, no, I love all the stuff that has to go with this. Please give me all the little morsels. I want all of it, even if it doesn't. We are the clamorers,
Abby.
Yeah, even if it's not in the book. Like if it's like,
I'll take it.
A person who is, I'm going to say this, a person who is certified. That's not the word. Approved of like this person, this person, like how the Tolkien estate had to make sure that like Peter Jackson is going to like do okay. Like, if they passed that test, then I'm like, okay, show me everything you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like, I want that.
And that's another reason why both you and I have the same view about the Rings of Power show. I know there's a ton of people out there that hated it. We understand why you hate it, but we also want to just see it. We will just take anything that comes.
Let my eyeballs enjoy this beautiful tale. I don't care if the canon is wrong. I want to see it with my eyeballs and be happy, okay? I'm not going to stay
Earth, up. Please.
I know. Please let me escape reality. Have you seen reality out there? It's awful. I don't want it. I want this fantasy land.
I want shires and hobbits and elves.
I want pretty clothes. I want cool armor. I want accents where, are they from England? Who knows? I don't care. Give it to me, please.
I mean, there's a limit to that, but yes, I mean, for the most part.
No, I said the what is it? The guidelines are they have to be approved, certified
Yeah,
like
they have to
pass
be
a
bona fide.
test of,
Yeah.
they have to be bona fide of being able to bring forth this.
It's almost
What is
like,
it?
do you have the spirit of Tolkien within you? Then you are bona
Yes.
fide.
Have you been blessed? Have you been blessed?
Has Tolkien come to you in a dream and given you these tales?
Yes.
And yes,
Mm-hmm,
create away,
mm-hmm.
my son.
I know. You get it. You get it. I hope people out there are nodding and not being like, what the?
Yeah.
What the heck? Anyway.
So also in this intro, Christopher says, quote, "In this book, I have accepted from the outset that this must be so, and except in minor details, I have made no alterations for the sake of consistency with published works, but rather drawn attention throughout to conflicts and variations." So he knew it wasn't going to quite match up. And he's like, let's just lean into that. Let's just say, here's what could have been different. Quote, "In this respect, therefore, Unfinished Tales is essentially different from the Silmarillion, where a primary, though not exclusive objective in the editing was to achieve cohesion. So, in case you haven't quite gotten it, I will stress again, they are discussing the same stories, but they are very different. The Silmarillion is all about cohesion. It tells an overall narrative. The Unfinished Tales shows alternative versions, and like I said, it was maybe more of a deleted scenes format.
And you know what?
Sense.
Maybe we'll read it and be like, maybe we'll read it and I'll be like, you know what? I didn't really like that in the Silmarillion, but I like this version better. You know what I mean? Maybe
exactly.
we'll stumble upon that.
Yeah.
Like how I hated how some of my favorite characters died. And I'm like, why did they die like that?
No! Quote, "The notes may seem to be in some places rather thick on the ground, but it will be seen that where clustered most densely, they are due less to the editor than to the author." So, like, I literally imagine Christopher making different piles of notes on the floor, sorting them by story, and wherever the notes were thickest, he was able to have enough details to gather more of a story. And that's not his fault. It's J.R.R.'s fault. Christopher's just working with what he had.
He has a Baron and Luthien pile. He's got a Fëanor pile. He's got a Valar pile. They're color-coded.
Literally, okay, so when I was trying to decide what book to do next, guys, I mean, I showed you a picture of all the books that I was like, which one? I was literally starting to go through all of like...
Which one?
So, like, I had like a Baron and Luthien book. So obviously that one's going to be only about Baron and Luthien. But like the Baron and Luthien is also in the Unfinished Tales. And it's also like a smidgen in this book. So I literally was making like color-coded little tabbies of like Baron and Luthien. Yeah. Fall of Gondolin. Numenor. Like I was doing that too. So I kind of... maybe a fraction of what Christopher went through. I was trying to do that too. And I'm like,
did you have one of those detective serial killer boards where it's like
I was getting close
and the red yarn and you have heavy bags under your eyes and you're like, I'll crack this code. I'll get him. I'll get that J.R.R. Tolkien. He can't do this to us.
Now, if you choose to read the Unfinished Tales, when should you read it? What other books should you have read first in order to understand it best? Christopher also helps here too. Christopher's just so helpful, you guys. Quote, "I have throughout assumed on the reader's part a fair knowledge of the published works of my father, more especially The Lord of the Rings. For to have done otherwise would have greatly enlarged the editorial element. I have, however, included short defining statements with almost all the primary entries in the index, in the hope of saving the reader from constant reference elsewhere." So basically, he's like, I'm gonna assume you've read The Lord of the Rings, guys. I mean, I don't know why you'd be here otherwise. Because if I were to have to explain everything, then this book would be ginormous. So I'm just gonna put, okay, assume that you know The Lord of the Rings, and in case you forgot like a few characters, I'm going to have an index, but let's just hope that you all are here because you know things enough.
It's like those choose your own adventure book things. So they're like, all those like flow charts that are like, have you read The Lord of the Rings? Yes.
Yes.
Have you read The Silmarillion? Yes. Or have you read The Hobbit? Yes. Have you read The Silmarillion? No. Go back to that.
Yes. No, literally. So that's exactly what I was going to recommend. So, according to Christopher, he says, okay, Lord of the Rings trilogy. But I'm also going to add The Silmarillion and The Hobbit as well. Now, another thing interesting about the Unfinished Tales.
Okay, hold on. Does he not say to read the Silmarillion first before this? Because I feel like that's like that's
watching the deleted scenes before the movie.
Story. That's like most of what the stories of the Unfinished Tales are about, right? The ones that are in the Silmarillion.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying.
What?
If you had read the Unfinished Tales first, that would be, in my opinion, similar to watching the deleted scenes before the movie.
You're crazy.
You are just crazy. You're just you're asking to be confused.
Kids would say.
So another interesting thing about the Unfinished Tales is that for every section that Christopher covered, he has a personal introduction for each section.
What if one of them was just one sentence? It's like, yeah, I don't know what he was talking about here. Sorry.
I would have accepted that. Like, agreed.
Yeah.
Understood. Let's move on, Christopher. Thank you for providing that too.
All it says on the top is, good luck. I don't know.
So
was he drunk here? Who knows? Did he have a fever? Probably.
We're going to talk about that next week. So the sections in the Unfinished Tales. Are you ready for this? So these are the different stories we're going to be covering. Okay. Of Tuor and his coming to Gondolin. The Narn y Hin Hurin. So that's more like Turin's tales. Children of Hurin.
All right.
Description of the island of Numenor.
Awesome.
Aldarion and Arendis, the mariner's wife. So maybe a tale we didn't get to hear about before.
Wait, is she the one that turns into a bird?
Nope. That's why we've never heard of her. Yeah. I thought, I'm like, wait a minute. No, her name is Elwing. Because
wing in her name.
Bird.
That's right.
The line of Elros, kings of Numenor. See, in my head, I'm like, I did want to know more about the line of Elros. Thank you. The history of Galadriel and Celeborn and of Amroth, king of Lorien. I did want to know about Lorien. Thank you.
Oh, well. Do we get to finally hear about their love story?
I think so. We'll find out. Then we have like a bunch of kind of random appendices that I'm not going to list every single one because I think they were like literally a sentence long. Then we have the disaster of the Gladden Fields, which is Isildur's time to shine. Curion and this one, my mouth doesn't work. Eorl. Earl. So my mouth doesn't like that word.
Isn't it in like in Ireland? I'm sorry, I get this wrong every time. I know that there is a difference, and I apologize, but it's Gaelic, not Gaelic. There's two different. Anyway, that's like O. It's just O, like EO. It's just pronounced O. Like someone spent. Hold on, I have to look this up.
I have to look it up too.
There's a version of the word of the name. For Owen, Owen, like how we pronounce it, is EOGHAN.
No, thank you.
But they pronounce it the E.
Your name Bill now
as O.
Okay, so it's just Earl.
Oh, we're way off then. But I'm right though about
you are right. Yeah,
the EO in Ireland is pronounced O.
Oh, okay.
So
I think this one's supposed to be more. What's the word? Old English.
What is that called?
And that's why they're called earls. I get it. Like an earl, like to describe a nobleman. You clever man, Tolkien. Okay, so anyways, Kirion and Earl. Sorry, and that's going to be funny too. And the friendship of Gondor and Rohan. That should be interesting. The quest for Erebor, and I don't have to tell you where. Please tell me you recognize Erebor.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one.
Or this podcast is done.
I'm excited for that one.
The hunt for the ring. Ooh. The battles of the fords of Isen, as in like Isengard, Isen. The Druidine. The Istari, which is the wizards, and the Palantiri. Just like you.
Which what I said. That's what I said.
Yeah. So I can't
those last three I'm excited.
No,
those last your 6 questions. I'm excited for.
Right? So I can't guarantee he's going to answer all of your questions, but at least we're getting a smidgen. A smidgen.
Do you think wherever Tolkien is right now in the afterlife, he's just sitting in a little office or like a beautiful like study, like very Hobbit looking, and there's a line at the door. He has a little secretary in the front, and he has appointments.
C.S. Lewis is a secretary. He just hates life. That's his personal hell, is being Tolkien's secretary. He has appointments of people coming in. And asking questions. Sure. You only get an allotted time. Like, you get 3 questions, that's it, or something. Yeah.
That's what I see in my head. Someone draw that. You fan artists out there, please draw a really adorable version, like a Far Side comic of him. And it's just this Tolkien study, and it's like a little secretary in the front, and it's like people waiting to like go and ask him like, hey, please finish this for me. I don't like how you ended this. Or what did this mean? Where did these people go? Like, come on now.
I agree wholeheartely. I was just trying to look up something because we're actually done with the intro. Yeah, I mean, I hope I pumped you guys enough. I hope I painted a good picture of what to expect from the Unfinished Tales. And we will just get to learn all about it starting next week with Of Tour and the Fall of Gondolin.
Woo! I'm so excited. Woo! Guys, happy season 2. We're doing this thing.
Heck yes. Quick shout out, besides Kip Rasmussen, if you didn't get to listen to that interview we did, he is amazing. Go check it out. Also, check out his art and give him all of the love because he is so nice, so accommodating.
He's very nice.
So nice.
I really hope that the frustration of our
recording.
Of our connection, the Wi-Fi not working of our recording comes through of like, it was so hard, you guys. It was so bad. It was so bad. Funny. It was so funny because it was to the point where like all you could do was laugh because there was nothing else you could do about it. But we hope that vibe came through of like, just enjoy it, you guys. There's nothing else we can do about it.
Pretty much. And then I also want to give a shout out to the artist who did Abby's Christmas present for us.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. I love it so much. I'm getting it framed.
Oh, nice. So his deviant art name, that's how I found him, is Get, Get -Seth, Seth, Seth Gabriel's art. He was so nice. Just let me personalize it as much as I wanted. I'm like, actually, I want my hair down. I know this picture has me with a hair up, but I want it down. Can you make Abby green? Because I know that's her favorite color. Can you make, I was just asking him all of the questions and he was super nice. He did such an amazing job. He has other cool artwork. And you should just go check him out and give him all of the love. And Abby, did you know he has Pajama Sam? He likes Pajama Sam. I'm pretty sure we are friends. That is a deep cut out there. If you guys know Pajama Sam, you are one of our people.
Amazing.
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to say, Ashley, that was one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten.
Oh, thank you.
It was so beautiful. I'm so happy. So follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. We post some fun stuff up on there. If you tag us and like art that you've done, maybe about something we've talked about or something Tolkien related, we'll totally share you on our stories and get your, art out there. We love doing that. My husband and I are artists, and we want to support any and all artists in good, wholesome ways. So please. And
I'm an art appreciator, and I'm like, yay, you can do the things I can't.
You did it.
You did it. I'm the requester of the art. But I very much appreciate you guys.
Yes. If you want to become a patron and join our Patreon, we would love you forever.
Forever.
You can join at patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast, and you could be a dwarf friend of the Shire, like our friend Dan, who's amazing, and our elf friends of the Shire, Krishane and Tom, who are also so great. We still need to do an episode with Krishane. We need to get that up somehow. It'll happen.
Yeah. It was not for lack of wanting to. She was going through some stuff, and then we were going through some stuff. It was a thing. But I think things have died down, so maybe we can still do that.
This is a new year. This is a new season. And since we're kind of getting more into the flow and understanding things and how like our schedules work with doing this, we are going to talk about, Ashley and I, but it will probably happen, of more incentives for our Patreon subscribers.
Heck yes.
So just be a little
with
bit,
our awesomeness.
A little bit of an incentive, little treats for y'all for joining our Patreon. That would be amazing. Another favor you guys can do for us, if joining our Patreon is unavailable to you at the moment, you can do another amazing favor and go give us a rating on whatever platform you listen to, be it Apple. That was my son. If you heard that, I don't know why he was laughing. Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts. What's another thing?
Google, Stitcher, whatever. Yeah, just throw us a rating. We have a lot on Spotify. I think we got one new one over the months since we've recorded and paid attention. But
you can give us a rating, write a review, please. If it's a nice review, please. Let's just say I'm very vulnerable at this moment of the season of the year. So if you could be nice, that would be great.
Tolkien's all about the love, guys.
Yeah. We hit over 12,000 plays. Amazing.
I know. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Because people are still like catching up. Like even though we haven't had like new stuff in a while, people are like still catching up on the old stuff. So keep it going, guys.
Yeah. Oh, another thing you can do for us, you guys, is just share it. Like share it with your friends or family and be like, hey, I think you'd really like this podcast. We're family friendly. You don't have to worry about listening with your kids around. We're pretty.
We even have our kids around most of the time.
I know. We're pretty easy. We try to make this easy to understand and have people enjoy it from any level of literacy or understanding of Tolkien. So it's pretty much for everyone.
My mom listens to this, guys, and she's like, I think I get it now. Thank you. Like, she doesn't, but she does.
No, it always reminds me, I mean, not in a bad way, but it always reminds me of that meme of Parks and Rec where they're so into little Sebastian and Ben's like, yeah, I get it now. And then it like turns to the camera. He's like, I don't understand.
Yes, 1,000%.
That's what it is.
But love you, Mom. I appreciate you supporting me. So with new seasons, we have new country rankings. So
global.
I'm not sure if we want to go through all of it.
Well, let's just do the top 3. Let's do the top.
Okay.
The top
10.
No,
let's do top 10 because that one changed a lot. Yeah. Okay. So we have US, of course, at number 1. Then Germany, probably more thanks to our friend Peony Toadfoot. Thank you, Peony, also. Then we have the UK at number 3, Australia at number 4. I think our friend Albert has been shouting us out. Thank you so much. We love you. And then number 5 is Canada. Number 6, the Netherlands. Thank you, Tom. 7 is Norway. 8 is Finland. 9 is Sweden. And then number 10 is Israel. Thank you, Dan. Yay! And there has been a lot of movement in it. So, I mean, keep it up, guys. Because, I mean, there was, like, countries that, like, went up out of the blue. So, I mean, keep it up. I think the last country we got was Rwanda. But I think that was last time. But, yeah.
Guys, I'm proud of y'all. Good job.
So
good work.
Proud. We hope you had a good day. And we hope you have a great week. And stay warm, stay safe.
I will try to do both of those things.
Stay sane, Abby. How about that one?
So, thank you to all that are here with us. We love that you are joining us. We hope that you share.
Hope you're psyched for season 2.
Yeah, season 2. Season 2. We are excited to start this new book with you guys, and we hope that you have as much fun as we're going to have. And we hope that you had a good holiday season and that, you're just doing good. We hope everybody's doing good, We love you all.
Good vibes out there. Good vibes. 2024. Let's do this.
Yeah, good vibes. Good vibes. Anyway,
until next week.
I've been Abby.
And I've been Ashley.
And this has been the Sisters of the Shire podcast. And we're so glad you're here with us. And we hope you join us next time. Bye.
Bye.